welcome back. So, I've played this quite a bit over the weekend, trying to figure stuff out. Um, been collecting this. I'm gonna have to move this over to, I don't know, here. Start collecting this, collecting these piles. Like I said, trying to scoop up all of the loose piles everywhere and trying to move it all over to here. Um, got this up and running again. They ended up dying because I didn't have a place for them to dump the excess energy that they're just collecting. So we left off. We had this build design, nice little setup. And then I was sitting here trying to think out how to design this. All right, with the main goal of us creating queens, or you know, princesses, I guess, to get the genes that we need. Because everything else that we end up getting the digger ants, but everything else that we need to go towards is locked. It's all locked behind those genes. Um, that's locked, that's locked. All of this stuff is locked behind the genes, so I need to, like, kind of set up a ability to just start producing them. These stands, they're really actually quite cheap. If you come take a look at, was it here? This one? All it is iron and concrete. I mean, we got plenty of that, so we're good to go with that. But this takes one queen, which consists of one of these inventors and one of these drones right here. All right. That makes the princess. So it needs 15 normal workers, 15 iron workers, another 10 drones, 5 normal energy pod workers ones, and 5 Mark twos. And basically the bodies of these other ants create the cocoon for the princess to mature into a lesser gene. Now, like to go over what I did. All right. I did a lot of stuff. All right. So we cleared out all the rubble here. We started ripping out, mining all of these pieces. All this gives us is scrap metal. I made so many different things that I ran out of screws. So they're working on it. All right. Now I ended up creating something. I came up with something. I figure the less, because these take so long to freaking drill. They take so long. So I didn't want to have a big old loop of them dropping the stuff off into a freaking storage if I didn't need to. So I came up with this little circle here. So they mine it, they put it in the thrower, and I just put like a group of them together. Like all these are getting mined, and they just throw it in here. They all go boop, boop, boop. And they're all stuck in this little circle with all the old gates. They all come down here. The 2 small workers come over here, get turned into a bigger worker, and the bigger workers will just come down here, do a couple loops, and come to find out, the bigger workers, oh, perfect timing. So we got a bigger worker in there. Watch this. It produces copper scrap. So I'm like, there's no copper in any of their production, but when they're recycled, they get copper scrap. So that's cool. So I end up just having that set up where the scrap and stuff gets put in there. I have this getting mined over here whenever someone gets over here. The main ones are these. These are getting mined and getting filled up. And then I have these getting produced, just this like little line right here. All right. These haven't been created yet, but these jobs should be filled up before these ones, so should be good. I just made one giant loop. So as you can tell, I moved stuff around. All right. I still haven't tore all this stuff out. I kind of like, I broke my brain trying to figure out how to design in the way that I would want it to be without overstuffing things. Because like my biggest issue is that this was getting overstuffed. I mean, it's so stuffed that it was backing up because I just had so many ants in there, right? So I wanted some type of control, right? So this used to be where the old queen is. Here, let's pop these so these can get out there. So let's go with the factory. All right. The factory is a self-contained system. It uses fuel ants. These fuel ants go in circles. All right. Except when there's not enough. Then they come over, they produce, and they come back down and drop it off. Now, when they get old, they come back up here and do a loop here until they can go in here to get refueled. There's 2 refuelers. It seems like 2 is the good amount of number. Most of this is all stays full. I have some production of the we got the resin and the diodes, so we got that up and running. But basically it's just a giant loop that they keep going. We have, like I said, 1 of each. We got this, light bulbs, all that, all of it. I mean, look at this. It looks sharp, nice, sharp angles. Looks awesome, right? And they basically just sit there. So I don't have to worry about them dying because they are never, ever going to be carrying anything back to the refueling station. Because that's how a lot of my pod workers died, is that I forgot to put a way for them to empty their inventory when they leave. All right. So now let's start with the queen. All right. This was technically the last thing I did. All right. Or close to the last thing I did. But this mess was, all right. I broke my brain. All right. So essentially I wanted to control how many I was producing. All right. That way I wasn't overstocking this. I mean, we're clearing this out. So we're at a good number, right? And I just set this up right here. So basically it comes down. I'm probably losing a lot of ants because this takes screws to produce the driller ants. And I'm kind of short on screws. So basically just going to have to bite the bullet until we get this stuff I've been building up and running. Over here, it comes down, and this is where the normal workers, I got rid of iron workers altogether on this main stuff, but I'm not using them. All right. I was overpopulated and I didn't need them. So I just switched over to them making normal workers. They come up and they hit the main line and they go. All right. That's the normal workers. If this doesn't need any more, I put about a 45-second timer on it. They come over, fill up some of these jobs. Probably should lower it, but I really am not too pressed on getting this scrap, so we're good. Over here is where the workers go. The workers come over, and there's a timer here. Every 30 seconds allows a worker to come over here to get turned into a drone, and that just instantly goes across the other side and starts transporting stuff back over here. If that timer isn't open, then we have this normal gate. If this energy is over 50, it lets them in here and get turned into the inventory ants, so we can collect the stuff. Now, how I'm controlling it, and here's the thing, I broke my brain. There's no way of, you can't use the counter gates. Like, hey, freaking like, all right, so you have this gate, or where's the gate? This gate, this stockpile gate. All right. I wish there was a stockpile gate like this, but set to counter. So for instance, keep track of this line. If this entire network line has X amount of people on it, or less than X amount of people, then let people in. All right, let people in through that specific gate, because that I could control precisely. how many ants I have on a network. Maybe there's that type of gate later, but right now I'm basically having to work around that because I do not want to swamp this because it got to the point where it was just full on gridlock. Like I had a whole lot of ants coming over here because I'm like, I'm not using them for anything, really. I am really not using them for anything other than, hey, go get energy. All right. Because my entire factory floor over here is all infinite, like it's self-contained. It does not need any more inputs or outputs. It just goes in circles. I say, hey, here's some glass, here's some whatever, and it does its job. All right. So controlling the population, because like we're just constantly making babies or larvae. So I wanted to control how many were here. Now, I sat and tested. This was the best I could do. All right. So check it. There can be, I want to say, 3 ants. All right. 3 ants, or maybe 2 ants, right off the top. All right. These are these things right here, right? These things. So you can fit like 2 or 3 ants right here. But if it doesn't know where to go, it will just sit there. All right. So essentially, what happens is I have ants coming in here, filling these up. If they're full or there's an ant on it, it will not place a larva there. All right. It'll just keep going in circles. I end up adding stuff like this. I put a line. So basically, because these guys are carrying something, on the way out when they get old, they put it in this. All right. And this goes like it goes in a circle. So when it comes over, after it drops this larva, it needs to get another one. This is the primary larva. All right. But if there's larva in here at all, they go up here and grab it from there to put it in there. That way we're not losing larva, we're not wasting larva. It's just sitting there. We can keep track of it and they can go and go to the grave beyond or whatever their job after they turn old is. All right. So essentially what I have here is that they come and they stack up. I have a counter gate. All right. I'm using this counter gate for this entire network. Kind of like how I wish like it was more like a stockpile thing, but this counter gate for the entire network. I'm like, yo, I only want 45 ants on this network and they're both connected to the same network. So they're not going to let anybody in unless we are under 45. Now, the other issue I was coming up with, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, if we have this and they're just sitting there, there's odds are they will get old. They might die. So I put an old gate off of there too. So either you go in here because we're lacking people, or you go over here and you're old and you go get upgraded. All right. And if you go up, get upgraded, that basically bypasses the limit. They come over and go to the main line going to work. All right. Or they basically come here and start feeding energy there. All right. So now the queen, this broke my brain. It was ridiculous. Okay. So check it. I did this. This is where I came up with the idea for that stuff over there. That was a lot simpler. That I got that from this. All right. So I was sitting there trying to think. I'm like, how do I put people on here? Because I wanted them to be the normal ants from this. I didn't want to use my infinite workers on this. I plan on using my infinite workers running a centralized storage when we get the smart storage up, smart dispensers. Basically carry them like there's only one input when it comes to the area, and they can freaking place it in whatever storage they need to be. So they're just going to be hauling stuff and moving stuff around into a giant storage, central storage. All right. I like seeing big old piles of cash or big piles of resources and just numbers beyond belief. I love seeing the numbers go up. All right. But so I wanted them to go there. That way I can just throw them on there. I don't have to worry about refilling them. I don't have to worry about anything. They don't need anything to live. I can just throw the 4 of them on there and go live. Go keep the resources low on all the inputs, right? So I wanted to use the number. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, how do I do this? How do I get people on here? And I'm like trying different things. So this is what I came up with. It looks like a mess, but it's the best I could come up with. If you guys have any other options, like, let me know. I mean, here, I'll show you right now what I have. I had a carry gate, I have a cast gate, I have a timer gate, and I have a stockpile gate. All right, and then I got the counter gates. Like, those are the gates that I have other than the old gate. If you guys can come up with, you know, something better, more clean, more compact, because this is really dirty, but I'm like, it works, and it is sort of clean. But it's kind of irritating that I couldn't get exactly what I want out of it. But let me walk you through it. All right. So, like I said, you can only fit 3 ants in here. This ant is waiting for 2 things. All right. Well, 3 things, technically. 2 places to go work, and 1 is just basically your old go away. All right. It's waiting for an opening, which I set at 2. I want 3 ants in here. I'll explain that in a minute. All right. I want 3 ants in here. All right. So what it does is it just sit there. And if there's an opening, they go in there. This one is a 8. If there's an opening, come over here. This is where they refill. And just like the one over there, this is connected to the larva category. So all the ants that have the potential of carrying larva go past this and fill this up. And both of these lines have a priority that if there's any larva in there at all, grab it from there instead. So I have like a gate here, and they come over, grab it, go in there. All right. So I started with the feed. I sat there, I was trying to find information on these small beacons. I wanted to know what the range was. After a little bit of experience, it's literally 1 tile. You put it in the center, everybody inside this tile gets a speed boost. I wanted a speed boost because it means less people I have to put in here to feed the queen. All right, so I put this in here and I designed it around here. Now, I designed this, that this is the primary. All right, this is the big old pile that's constantly getting eaten up over there, right? The second one comes from the backup, where we have the fueler ants just constantly going in circles and filling us up, okay? So this opens up. This is the priority. If it's above 50, they come in here, grab a piece, and go back, all right? And they basically goes in circles. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so now that's this part. All right, now we need the other part on creating babies or moving the larva, all right? So this side is moving the larva. And just like this one over here, there are 2 main gates. One goes to supply the larva to the incubators, right? And the other one is to the loop. I want 3 people there. I said, yo, if there's less than 2, then go in and become 2. Now, all of you are probably going, but why are you sanding it to 2 if you want 3? Here's the reason why. All of these ants converge onto this line. Now, if you are a small worker, you get shunted off over here. As you can tell, there's a line over here. I'm turning them then into iron workers. I didn't want to do the whole combination too. I'm trying to keep the amount of ants I'm using and utilizing to a low amount. The other ones, just collecting, they're basically there. If I need X ants, I can just grab them. They're just there collecting energies, right? But these, I'm trying to keep it nice and compact and good to go. So when they get in here, they do a loop. It's kind of the same as this. They're just sitting there waiting. This is their green room. Oops. Why is that off? That's not right. That would do. Like this? Sure. There we go. That's fine. All right. So I doubt they're going to get old in there, but that's just in case. So this goes, yo, we want 3 ants here and 3 ants here. So this is, I put this at 3 and put these at 2 to guarantee we prioritize our leveled up ants over the small ants, because small ants have less life. All right. Like that one has 2 and this one's like, yeah. So these have a longer life. They can get more work done. So now when those get old, they come out, they drop their stuff in the larva in there. They come down because they're not small. They come over here. Now I have them coming over here and they get recycled. Now, because I have excess of these running in circles, always having like 1 or 2 that just run in circles, right? So it's not a big, I'm not in a hurry for them to take care of it, right? Just as long as they get to it, right? So they come over here and those iron ants get stomped in here. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they produce. So I put down a couple of different large stockpiles. So they come over here and get recycled, and these guys come in, pick it up over while they're circling, looking for a job themselves. So they're not being, useless. So that's the factory floor. This is my lovely system to try and minimize excess ants. And I'm converted all the way over to only using larva somewhere else. Basically, I'm not making the ants right next to the queen. I'm like making them way over here because the island's pretty big. Having a small worker ant walk all the way over here just to go to work, most of their life is spent walking, just getting there, and then they're instantly coming back and getting upgraded. Like, so that's why I built this so close that we can just go and collect the energy. Sorry for the long-winded explanation, but it was yeah. So like I have this one guy, he's going around, he's an infant ant, and he's just like, all right, time to restock that up. All right, so I've been moving, I moved some ants over here. I got larvas, filled up all the larvas over here. Now, what I was planning on doing with them is I was going to start making drills. All right. I can't do it right now because I'm kind of short on screws, which actually what I'm probably going to do is double up on my screw production and maybe add one of these pod workers, maybe 2, and double up on the screw production. Because if I'm going to start pumping out drillers, and drillers don't give me screws back, so I'm going to have to produce those items a lot faster. So yeah, we just got to go like this. What we're going to do is go like this and go boom, and that'll produce that. So I end up having to move this up and doing that. But I need glass. All right, because what I want to do, ideally, I want these small beacons. I want 1 on each of these, all going down this main line. So like, as long as they're on that main road, they're flying down it. All right, so they're finding a job as fast as possible. They're getting where they need to faster. Like in here, I'm not too worried. When they're in here, it's a nice compact area. They clear the stuff up, that type of thing. You know what I mean? So we need more glass. We need more glass to make light bulbs. We are short on glass. We just need a lot of glass. And the sad thing is there's really not that much over here. Well, I mean, there's 1,000, and there's a glass piece of 500, another 1,000, 500. Let's see, and there's another one, 470, whatever, 472. But if you look, that's it. That's all the glass on this island. I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. I might be able to, utilize it all. But I mean, that's literally all the glass on this island. That's just ridiculous. Now this island, I am not quite sure where. I know there's a lot of different resources over here. I mean, there's resin on trees, which is great. I know there's a whole bunch of fiber here. Fiber. Oh, okay. So these big chunks, but they're basically single point things. They're miners. But there's a little bit of glass in those, and there's like a couple of them. Nope, that's wow. These are plants. All right. So there's another one. I think that's another one. So there's some glass over here. But I also think if I was taking a look at some of this stuff. All right. That can't wait to get to that. That can't wait. All right. Big stories. Like I said, I like big piles of resources. I don't want to ever freaking have to worry about the resources. So up here, it says glass. A new recipe to craft is smelt down glass shards to gain a block of glass, a see-through material that can be manipulated. But it says it's a new recipe. So I'm kind of curious if it's like later on we find a different resource like, I don't know, sand or something that we can smelt down into the glass. That's my thought. But this was ridiculous. Like it hurt my brains. I played this hours trying different things. Like I said, I'm not very good with the logic gates. I think this is going to be robust, but you could tell that I haven't cleaned up. That's like, as soon as I got everything done, like this is set up and it was working. Like I didn't even have the main line going back over here from here because I was like going, as soon as I was like, okay, this works, that's set up. I have the production over here, the resources, I have the making this, I have this set up. I end up adding some more workers over here. I set all this up, designed those. I was like, all right, I've been playing this freaking for hours. My brain hurts. Like this is complicated. All right. Like I'm not a very good logic player, like logic gates. All right. Anything beyond simpleness, like, so I apologize for this being not much getting done. Like I said in the last one, I end up trying to redesign this everything. I believe this is going to be a more robust system. When we unlock some gates, I can change this, but the ability to go, we're not relying on the ants getting produced here and going all the way here. I can just teleport where I need the ants and then have them produce the stuff. So that was another thing. So remember why I was like, why am I upgrading this? Simple. So the queens, like I said, everything was tailored to us making queens so we can get genes. We need normal workers, and that's what's happening over here. I can just grab these normal workers, throw them on there, all right? I'm making them nonstop. Drones, making them nonstop. I can just say, hey, freaking drop the timer down, and instead of them going over here, I can funnel those in. I have that auto-produce, we're doing it, all right? We also need pod workers. That's the other thing. That's another thing we need the glass for, all right? Because basically we'd have to eat into our personal pod workers to make another gene. And honestly, probably going to do it because having access to this smart dispenser here seems worth it. Because I don't have to worry about, well, is it connected to this? Is that supply empty? This is just like, yo, do we have a supply that has this resource that I'm supposed to be dispensing? I do. Pull it from whatever's closest. I don't have to worry about, well, I got to pull a dispenser from this one, or I got to shift resources over to this one. It just seems like it will set it up nice. So I'm going to dedicate some of the pod workers to this because I think it's worth it. All right. Now, the pod workers, like I said, over here. So the pod, we need the glass to get the pod workers. That's why I was trying to, get the build up. That's why I'm going to double up on this. We got the drones, but we also need iron workers. So we're making iron workers here. So all I have to do is go, all right, cool. Iron worker, go in there, go in there, go in there. And then I can make the queen. And then I make a whole bunch of these like lined up around here or something. Like 5 of them. I don't think, I could pop off 5 much more than that in an hour, because that's a lot of ants I want to have to process and stuff. So that's the plan. I like it. I like the new setup. I like the control that I have now on the population control. Um, that way I'm not getting swamped and bottlenecked with all the ants, and they don't really have any jobs, because I gave the jobs to the people I don't have to worry about dying anymore. I set it up. I'm like, here you go. I just got to feed them full of energy. You're good to go. Gone. So apologize for the weirdness. Sorry about last week. I had a doctor appointment. I was trying to catch up, and so my videos got off time. I try to like to get it, done around, freaking middle of the day. But if you're liking the content, leave a like, subscribe. If you have any input on how to make my control of the number of ants on my world more fine-tuned, leave a comment. I'll read it. I'll even reply. So enjoy your day, and as always, stay faithful.